Hotels without walls. That's what RV parks are. And we're going to talk about that on this episode of the Real Estate Revenue Podcast. I've been away from this channel for quite a while, a couple of years. Had other projects, a couple of moves across the state back and forth. And I am back to do real estate videos again and kind of change up the way we do it a little bit. I wanted to talk about RV parks. It's kind of a hot item right now, and since I've been dealing with them lately, I thought it might be time to talk about how they can be a great way to invest in real estate. So what is an RV park? Well, basically, it's a hotel without walls. The guests bring their own rooms, really. And so if you're looking to invest in a business or in real estate, commercial real estate, RV parks can be a great choice, a great way to get started, and they can be a lot easier to own than a hotel or apartments, or and especially better than residential real estate. As a broker, I've listed and sold RV parks in the past, and recently I've been helping a client find investment properties to buy, RV parks in particular. That's his property type of choice. And, an RV park is one of those properties it's both a business and it's commercial real estate. They can't really be separated. Now, at the time of this, that I'm recording this, there were around 130 RV parks for sale just in Texas. And those are just the ones listed on one platform. That's on Crexi.com, CREXI.com. I'm sure there are others on LoopNet, and there are a couple of sites that just list RV parks. So there are a lot of them out there for sale. Shouldn't have any trouble finding RV parks. A lot of these parks are, depending on what size you get, of course, but a lot of them are below $1 million. Some of them are between $1 and $2 million, and then there's a lot of them above $2 million, and some of them go all the way up into the high 20s, like $27, $28 million. So one thing I wanted to talk about is something you need to watch out for when you look at these listings and when you look at buying an RV park. One of the things is you're going to see a cap rate listed. A cap rate is, if you don't know, a cap rate is, it's a return on your investment, basically. It's, you get a cap rate by taking the net operating income. Now that's disregarding any loan payments you have on it. This is as if you paid cash for this property. So you take the net operating income, divide that by the purchase price, and that gives you a cap rate. It'll be a percentage. So you might come out with 0.07, which is 7%. And so what you want to look out for is a lot of these RV parks get listed at 7%, 8% cap rates, 9% cap rates. If you're looking at, I'm going to tell you about one example I saw. It was a $28 million RV park. Now, this was a resort type RV park. A lot of amenities, had a nice big pool, a restaurant, and I think it had fishing, hiking trails. So, and a lot of activities that are put on by park management. Here's the thing. This property was advertised at a 7.5% cap rate for $28 million, I believe it was. Think about this. Now that's a lot of income, and it sounds great. It sounds like that's a good return on your investment, right? I mean, where could you get 7.5% by putting your money in the bank? But here's the catch. Here's the hidden thing, the hidden information that they aren't giving you, and that is that once the transaction takes place, unless you have cash, your cash flow is not going to be the same as that net operating income. Your cash flow, first of all, when interest rates are at around 7% for commercial real estate, you don't want to get into a 7.5% cap rate. It's going to eat into your profit too much. Secondly, unless you want to live on that RV park full time and that be your life, you're going to probably want to hire an RV park manager. And there are management companies out there that will do that for you. You can hire someone to be a live-in manager and pay them, give them a place to live and pay them a salary, or you can hire a management company to just do a turnkey management package, just like they do with hotels, self-storage. There are management companies out there that'll manage just about everything. You could get a management company for self-storage, for hotels, for marinas, for golf courses, just about anything like that. And RV parks. Now they're going to charge at minimum 7 to 8%. And they're going to charge, if it's a big resort type property like this one is that I'm talking about, as much as 30% of your revenue. So you wouldn't want to buy that park unless you also owned a management company. Probably that's who it's going to attract. But let's go to some lower number parks. Let's say it's a $10 million RV park. And I'm bringing this one up from past experience. It was a real case. We had this park listed at $10 million, 10% cap rate. And one investor who came in from out of state to look at it, he said, well, I can't buy this at a 10% cap rate. It's got to have to be like 13 to 15%. 13 minimum is what he would do, which meant a pretty good chunk out of the price, because he had to pay someone to come in and manage it for him. And he was absolutely right that the seller self-managed that park. They were there all the time. They always had somebody in their family there. So the thing is, they have to consider that if you own one of these and you go to sell it, you're going to have a different point of view. You're not going to be there anymore. Somebody else is going to buy it. And if you really want a good price for it, you're going to have to find somebody that's an RV park investor that buys these on a regular basis, and as the management company or the one that they can hire to come in and manage it. So you're going to have to adjust your price accordingly. So when you're looking to buy, that's one thing you got to look at. Look at the management cost of that. Look at the interest rate that you're getting compared to the cap rate. And then there's some physical properties to the property that you have to look at, like septic tanks and water systems. Every state has different regulations, and I know in Texas there's some pretty strict regulations on how many people your water well can supply water to, how many people your septic tank can accommodate, and there's a definite distance. You have to have your water well from your septic tank. They have to be separated by a certain distance. And those things and the water system has to be approved by the state, in our state anyway. It may not in yours, but in Texas, you have to have that water system approved by the state if you have more than whatever the minimum amount of people is. So you're not going to get away with having I have seen parks that were large, 200 plus spaces. They had really nice water systems that they put in, or water wells and water systems, purification systems and filtering, but they weren't state approved, and they could get in trouble for that. So that's something you got to look at. You don't want to get in trouble with the state over your water quality or your septic system abilities. If the RV park's in the city limits, it's inside a town where you got city water and city sewer, you won't have that problem. But there still might be some restrictions from the city on what you can do with that. So those are some things to look at. One good thing about RV parks, I believe financing has gotten a little easier. 7 or 8 years ago, conventional lenders didn't really like RV parks. Now they're in fashion, and they're, so I think that part of the financing aspect might be a little better. One thing about them is that a lot of these parks are owned by individuals, a mom and pop kind of operation, and they're looking to retire. They just want to get out of it. They don't want to do it anymore. And a lot of those are going to be with zero debt, and a lot of them are going to be willing to do some seller financing. You won't know until you ask, and when you ask, you may have to You may have to go and make your case with them, explain why it's to their advantage. It's going to defer their taxes, spread it out over the term of the loan, hopefully, and also they get to continue to get income off of it without having to do anything. That's a big deal. I think it is. I mean, you give them a partial cash down payment, and then they do seller financing for the rest of it, and they still make money on their park. And plus, here's a good way to approach it. I'll give you your selling price if you seller finance this X amount of money for it. You give me, say, I pay you 30% cash, you seller finance 70%. For so many years at this interest rate, and I'll meet your asking price, and you're going to make more money on it because you're going to earn interest on that money, and you'll earn the income and not have to work for it. You don't have to do anything. That's a good selling point to the seller for me. I mean, that's what I would do, and I have negotiated that in the past on behalf of my clients as working as a broker. So you can do that. It works. Sellers are very likely willing to do that, especially if they can put off paying taxes for a few years and actually make more money on the property. Now, some of them are going to want their money. They're going to want to get paid up front. They want to just cash out and move on. But a lot of them, no, they'll take the income. So that's something to look at when you're looking at buying RV parks. One thing I would do is I would look for RV parks that have extra land. If you have a park that has extra land and you can add on spaces, especially if it's kind of small anyway. If you're buying a park that has under 100 spaces and there's an extra 5 acres, that's something really attractive, because you can put in a lot of RV spaces in 5 acres. And, the more extra land, the better, as long as you can pay for it. And personally, I would prefer to build the RV park anyway as to buying it. But you get one that's already operating, though. It's got extra land. You get a little bit of both worlds, and you get to buy one that's already in operation, and you get to build onto it and add spaces. And if you got a park that's at high capacity all the time, high occupancy, and you have extra land, man, you can get in there and build, add spaces, add a lot more money, add amenities. You can add a restaurant. You can put in a restaurant building and lease it out to a restaurant operator. You don't have to operate the restaurant, or you could put in a pool, or whatever you could put in there. Maybe some hiking trails. People like that kind of stuff. Some camping sites. That's a good cheap way to get started expanding your RV park. Put in some camping sites, glamping, some little teepees and tree houses. Those are pretty cool. You can add a lot of things to an RV park to increase the income. And as with every commercial property, the property value is based on the income that it generates. When you increase the income, you increase the value of your property. So keep that in mind. And that's it for this time on Real Estate Revenue Podcast.